we're going to give Poseidon another shot. I can't guarantee I'm going to finish this one, but since I didn't play correctly by the rules for exploration last time, I just want to see how it kind of develops, at least, with the actual rules. And it's not a terribly long game, so there's a good chance that I will actually finish it. I'm going to do the 5-player again, tossed out the cash, and it's time to make my bids and my decisions here. Well, not bids, but my purchases. I'm running over here. Now, this is kind of interesting. We saw some definite value to this card. Being able to maintain a big run after a trading crash or something like that. It definitely has a fair value, and it has this 40 per turn in early money. However, it is 160 bucks that goes away right away. You know, that you have to expend right away. Likewise with P5, it's making 50 around, but at least this gets to get turned in for a share. So I kind of favor that to that. I'm just trying to consider what's of value. Doubling a trading post, real valuable, but that's 30 bucks that I'm pushing into a company that I'm never gonna see. And then these three, which ones do I like best? Well, my knee is actually probably the worst of them, because even though it's right there and available to be used right away, it's a big hunk of money. 120 bucks I'd have to throw into it. There's my 30 bucks around that I pay that off with, so maybe I don't want to do that right away. Some of these others don't have as big a pay, well, they don't have as big a payoff, but they also don't have as big an expense, which is kind of attractive. But we now know that they're kind of reachable. Now, how exciting they are, you know, how important is it to get Troy when there's other 6-pointers kicking around in the area? I don't know. What is the other one? Knossos is a little bit more attractive, but do you really want to be going down this way? Again, I don't know. It's kind of a weak area. What is my feeling? Like, I feel like I want to do this by die roll. I always kind of do the interest by die roll. But I think I'm going to skew other players' views. I mean, I really feel like this is probably the best, just because it comes with actual stock. I don't remember who got it, but I think it may well have been the winning player. So I'm going to actually just auto buy that. The second player, this doesn't come with stock, so it's not as exciting. Everything's pretty much at the 1 through 4. I really can't make my decision. I'm going to roll a die at this point, and I don't know what I'm going to favor if I get anything, but okay, we're going to get the Delian League, and that's the problem. I'm going to start rolling a die at this point, but I do think the one, because of the stock getting half the value back, and you probably get it in cash back fairly quickly, is the more attractive. But remember, the game's going to be a little faster this time, because the exploration means the companies are going to make more money. It's interesting because it doesn't affect the swallow rate directly. So the companies get more money means more shares get bought, which means more companies come out more quickly or whatever. Kingdoms, merchants, whatever. I'm never going to get the terminology right, I think, at XX Start. Landings, this one, I gave favoritism to Troy because it was the cheapest of the cards, and I feel like having cash is more valuable early on than having this kind of income that takes 4 operating rounds to pay itself off. Seriously, 1, 2, 3, 4, that puts you down here. We're in the middle of the game at that point. And man, having that much money tied up just doesn't look pleasant. This one, I don't know. Perhaps the worst of them all, but at least it has kind of an interesting effect. These guys took my Knee, even though it's fairly expensive, because at least it's useful. Canossa, and I gave an even odds on things for those, but Knossos looks like it's kind of in an annoying location comparatively. Myconii, it may take me forever before I actually trigger it because I don't want to lose my money if I can avoid it, but once I get into that second, certainly by the third era, it's worth playing down for a 6-point city that's nearby. Of course, it becomes a lot less important than it did under the wrong rules, right? Now it's time to decide which company to start and whether I want to. This guy is one of the lower holdings with 180. I could start something at 90 with 2 shares, or something at 60 with 3 shares, and of course, I'm sorry, not with 2 shares. I can start something at 60 with 3 shares, and that means 2 other shares are kicking around. That's often not a great idea. The only reason to really do it would be the Myconii being there. I think I'm going to favor not starting a company, but I'm not sure. Let's give myself, I don't know, a 1 or a 2 we start. All right, so we're going to look for something, and it's probably going to be either Athens or Sparta. I don't know which we're doing, and I realize, wait a minute, there's actually $200 here. So that's 280, so my options become a little bit wider. I'm still going to start a company. This is my valuation. So if I'm at 280, I can't start it big. I could start it at 70 and buy 4 out of 5. But that's probably not a great idea. 280 divided by 3 says 90. That's probably where I'm going to do it. Get a little bit more starting operating capital in it. I've done, and I don't know how much I'm going to do this, but put the 270 for my 3 shares and another 180 for the 2 that are generated by the bank. Remember, we have to start it with at least 3 shares that we're buying, and however many shares we buy determines the upper limit of how many we release. So we're releasing a total of 5 shares because we have to start with at least half of them. I've got better explanations of everything in the defective set if you want to see how to play with everything except for the stupid little exploration ship. That's probably the better place to look. So this is just really to inform my opinion of the game, and I don't even know that it's necessary that I be bidding it, but I'd like to do one correctly for some reason or another. Okay, the black was started at 80 per. Now here's the thing, he had enough cash to start something minimally at 80 per. I think Larissa is a more interesting location. However, starting behind red there seemed like a bad idea. This guy is off on his own. It's okay that I'm starting a little lower than everyone else. There's only one, well, there's a couple of people who can interfere with me, but they might be going that way because the bigger money in the long run is that way. So, megalomania or whatever, megalopolis would be closer to this side and more able to generate cash off this side. And it may have been a decent idea as well. The thing is, there's a couple of 4s near me. Take advantage of those, as quickly as possible. All right, a little bit more cash available. The player with the Delian League wants to buy 5 shares. I could just buy 5. I could release up to 2 or 4 more. I just release 2 more. It gives me a little bit more cash in here that'll help me get through the early part of the game. Later on, when the stock values are a little higher, I can release additional shares. So that starting money in your corporation isn't necessarily that big a deal. It's just at 70, you're starting at kind of a low value. But I'm getting a lot of certificates into play for that. Except I'm Troy. Oops. I thought I was the Delian League. Well, that's okay. Troy is reachable here. Blue is cut off and in kind of a painful position. We saw that definitely in the last game. It'll be a little bit easier to move them around because of the because you're trading, your exploration ship stays out, but it's still more cut off and more in danger than red. Now here's the thing, if somebody starts higher than 70, they can start, say, here or here and really get a trump on me. Thebes looks particularly questionable though, because Thebes is starting next to Athens, and I'd want to start at least 100. And you can start above 100, by the way, unlike some of them where the par value is limited. I would have to start at least at 100 to make sure that I go before Athens, just to get the sort of jump on them on all the exploration work. And we finish off the stock rounds. I'll move this guy over here. It's kind of annoying me over here. We finish off the stock round, move to the operating round. Over here, we had Thessalonica started at 90, because he won't be in direct competition over with Athens. If he'd taken one of these, he'd be too close to their world. I feel like this, I can get the jump on the orange, I guess. Now this is the guy with the Delian League. You might want to make Pella his immediate, but here's the thing. Valuable stuff is in range eventually in this game. So for example, I can make a bigger run to here. I probably don't want to wait until I hit a 6. I'm just looking. Those are quite far away. But the 5, well, you know, it's just, I don't really like the idea of going in this direction for my initial cash. I'll probably delay. Let's see. We have an investor. Yeah, he could have started a company at 60, but again, there's a lot of companies out there. The longer this lasts, the better he is in terms of cash, I guess. It's kind of hard to tell. He kind of wants to churn it, but he wants to churn it after making the most he can off of it. The companies aren't going to be making 50 for a long time, so that's a pretty good, it's got a pretty good revenue if I can keep it, if I can keep the game slower. I don't really have that much power to do so, but by buying some of the loose shares instead of starting a company, it helps a little bit. And we'll go on to the operating round, and I think it's time for me to work. Perception of time is incorrect. Got a fair amount more left. And so let's take care of this. First thing that happens is sort of the privates. I have to make choices, and this is actually done in order, as to whether I'm closing them out and using their special ability or just getting cash. Well, in general, I'm going to get cash. The other thing I have to do is if I want to pillage cash from my companies. Early money's important. Everybody's going to kind of do this. Running of the game is going to look just like my defective game. We take the first company, Red, Athens. They're going to look for, the only difference is what they're looking for in the long run. They're going to look for a place where they can start expanding to make some decent money. And this is clearly their valuable area, but there's potential for getting cut off here. A couple of deuces works kind of nice down here, so I'm actually going to sail here. It stays. And that's the big difference, because now next time it can sail to here, etc. And that's kind of a big deal. And now I have to buy a boat. Well, I'm not going to be able to run 2 boats right away, so I'm just going to spend $100, buy one. Chances are I'm going to be buying another one a little later, but it's no big deal. Nothing falls back. We just drop down there, because it's not a bad thing to not pay out. Note that I did not get the $100 for the fleet not going out because I didn't have a fleet. That's what the rules seem to imply. We'll take a look at the next one, the Thessalonians. So Thessalonica has the Delian League. Do I want to be making $8 a round right away? Or do I want to be making $10 a round for the rest of the game a little in the future? I mean, officially, I should have decided. No, I couldn't decide it yet. Okay, so I'd have to decide this next round. But basically, it's whether I go here or here. I'm going to go here because of the competition with orange. We gotta get the jump on them. And note that I don't go back, which is kind of a neat thing, because before it would reset me and I could explore all the stuff near me. I too need to buy a boat. Let me get that there. And we didn't pay out. And so on, as everyone does their exploration. Second operating round, yeah, we have the same pillaging, but we're going to have some additional decision, some slight differences in decisions because now the boats are off sailing. You know, they're loose from where the actual capability to reach them is, and they could do exploration that doesn't bring you money right away. That is now. That aspect again feels a little bit more like a 2038 game. The way that I was playing, you felt so hidebound to your city that it wasn't like 2038 where you're developing these routes for the long future. The slow path, moving here, dropping one here. You know, this is using up my tokens, and I have a limited amount for Athens. I always felt like the amount was very, very restrictive in the late game. Well, now it's going to be restrictive a little earlier. Now I got my run. I count up the things I have. That's 3 and 3 is 6. So I make $6 per each of these. So the owner is going to get his $18. And the investor gets his 6. Once I paid out, the share price goes forward. And we're going to see similar behavior with the others. Now this guy, he put himself here where he's kind of blocked off. I don't have to explore these. I could go here, but I can't drop a dot there. So I'll go here because it gets me nearer interesting things. This is the guy owning the Delian League. I'm thinking I want to probably double the 5. In terms of run, I have a couple of choices. I could run for a 5 run, or I could pay $20 out and run for an 8 run. With 4 shares, I'm not going to have enough money to buy another merchant off of this because I'm not making that much money. I think I'm going to say so this is $20, gets me $20, which is the same as my pillaging from the company. I think I'm going to save that money and run to here and run for only 5 a share, which means I get 20, especially since someone else is riding me for some reason. Put the 5 goes under here. Ooh, I forgot. Do I need another boat with Athens? Athens doesn't want another boat yet. What about Thessalonica, though? Thessalonica has room. Like if I'm going to get here, I need another boat. Now, so we will buy a second ship for Thessalonica. And we'll continue with these kind of decisions throughout. So Black ran their boat this way. Now there's more money this way, and they made a 7 a share run. Remember, early money's nice, la la la, but maybe I should have gone this way because I'm kind of getting out of the action in terms of getting anywhere. I'm gonna end up filling this whole area because my next move, in order to use the second boat that I have, has to take this space. Actually take it, not just move through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've got if I want to keep expanding, I've got to just keep adding ports to areas that you know, it's nice now, but later in the game, it's not that rich. And it's not all that incredibly rich right now. It's got a little bit of wealth set up in it where I can run a decent number of boats. In a dense little area. So now we get to orange, and orange sails into here as well. They don't put down a second dot. They want to compete in this area. This turns into empty sea. Not terribly interesting. So my two boats going to be coming out 1-2 for $5. Okay, that's great. And remember, I'm trying to get to Troy. So we'll pay out that 5. That goes here. This goes here. But now the question is, do we want another boat right away? Blue got 2. Blue has a little bit more capacity to hit other things. We really don't. We go this way, we're kind of screwed. However, our next boat gets us something. And, ooh, it's a 3-pointer. All right, we'll buy the 3-point boat. It doesn't get us as much, you know, right off the bat as we like. Note, there's no phase change on the 3-point boat. However, we're done with the operating round. And that's the second of the operating rounds. We push this forward. Now, what's important here, I have to remember this goes away. This was something else I screwed up last game. And I just want to mark it like that so that because I don't want to partially start the stock round. And yeah, I actually have to go to work now. All right. And the next stock round was undertaken. You can see the investors still investing. Other people picking up a loose share here and there. Some black there, an orange there. But, and I hadn't moved this last time, and now it's down here. A starting player rotates only clockwise as opposed to any kind of, you know, in-game mechanism. And I've got weird thoughts about, you know, whether or not I like that. I can go in either direction about it. There are things I like and dislike about it. Most of the certificates have been sold out. Nobody started anything new. And well, it's time to pay out and thieve from the companies, and then get started on our kingdoms and start running them. With orange running, if they get their 5 running, they can come from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hit Troy. Troy only produces $10 a round. I'm going to close Troy and drop this. You have to make the decision now whether or not you want to collect your money for your private, or if you want to open it up and use it during the round. It's kind of a neat choice. That's going to cut into my initial cash, or my cash for the turn, but is it really? I'm making like $6 more times 5 is $30 off of that decision. Somebody's getting a ride on it. And what's more is, well, I'm making $30 off the decision once, and then from then on it's probably more like 15, because the thing is, I'm going to be able to add 2 cities this turn. No, only 1. But I've got enough train to reach there, which is kind of the issue, I guess. Alternatively, I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which wouldn't hit as many locations. Well, it would hit just as many, but it would cost the company this, and I'd only make 5 instead of 6. I decided my finances aren't very good. That $10 a round I can forego. The decisions in this game feel less forced than they did when I was playing, where the ships went home and could only move, you know, 1 space away from their home. So red's sailing out this way. I'm not putting a token here. At some point, maybe down here or something, I'm going to move my home base, and I'm going to make all my shipping run out of here. And those two spaces, whatever, those are what are going to get me through the early part of the game so that I make stock value and stuff like that. But at this point, I'm really just kind of reducing my stock, my output for sort of a long-term, better kind of mid-game run in 6s and 5s, which looks really appealing to me. Why do I have my Kini? Yeah, good question. But with its $30 a round payoff, I don't really want to fire it off right now. So there's a chance that, maybe I start Sparta or something and run it in that area as well. Blue is doing something interesting. Move down here, grab this. I want this because I'm going to set the Delian League up there, make bigger money there. Now I've got 2-2 trains, or boats. 1-2, 1-2, can't cross here. If I pay the $20, yeah, it's always painful. I mean, these things are expensive, but I can get 5 for this, 8, 9, 10, 15, which is pretty damn good. I'm the only one getting any of it. Seriously? Oh no, there's one over there. Oh, I think I forgot to pay him out for his red. Alright, I'll try to reconstruct that. But yeah, 15 for the blues. Except for red, payouts were strong. 15 for both orange and blue, 13 for black. Red's 6, but one ship and a different type of plan. And everybody else is going for that early money. Usually not going for early money is just a huge mistake, but I don't know. We'll see. On to the next round and the pillaging. So we push into the second operating, or back into the stock round. What we see is those rates have gone up. Black is kind of frozen at their 13. Kind of not really looking like they have a good way forward. Orange, I think they were running at 18 a share or something like that. I don't know. Let's see what it is. 18 a share. I think blue hit 19 a share with this. 3, 5, 15, 19. Now, both of these have interesting positions. Orange probably wants to move their center of mass over to Asia Minor, like Red's trying to do, but Orange has been making money on their way there. Blue has a harder call because they've invested this. I have to go back here. So I'm actually, my first thought was, I build a base here, then I can run this way and this way. No, that's 2038 thinking or normal 18XX thinking. I can't do that. I'm not running multiple ships or trains or whatever, or even whether I can join them together or not. I'm not running multiples. I have to run one set, which means I kind of have to drop myself somewhere like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe eventually, 6, 7. So that's probably pretty much what I'm looking at. If I do it this way, I can get to 8. But a 7 is something that's available right now. I have 2 2s and there's a 3 available. So it's really just a matter of setting up the markets at this time, rather than oh geez, I gotta wait until I get the good train available for something to happen. This game, it's very easy to set up big powerful routes, which means I think the boats are going to actually fall fairly rapidly. Well, gee, we're kind of halfway through the game already. What happened? Yeah, I know. There's not a lot of game in terms of the rounds that there are. So it's kind of cool that it's a little bit supercharged at the beginning. Remaining shares are scooped up. Orange definitely wanted more of his stuff. This guy, well, not really enough money to start another company. But here's someone sitting on enough cash for a company, not just in pocket, but when he counts everything else. However, it's kind of I'd kind of like this to keep going, but if I can't make my money work for me, and other people are invested, maybe it's not a great idea. The problem is there are other people who might start a company. They'd be doing it on bare bones. Like, if I could wait and let somebody else start a kingdom and then invest in that, that's probably the best thing. What I'm worried about is if I invest and somebody else does. But I don't think anybody has all that much money. We're looking at 200 here. You can do it at 200. He could dump this, dropping his own price value, make it 300, and it's really plausible at that point. I don't think anybody else looks like they're sitting on enough cash. You know, this guy's got a lot of certificates, but doesn't want to sell any of them. This is one of the top burners out there. So now the question becomes, can I do it by dumping my more questionable shares and still hold this? So our investor has now become a president or king, and his decision making was really kind of interesting for this. First of all, cash on hand. You could start it at 110 if he sold the blue share and buy 5 certificates, and that seemed like a great idea compared to holding the blue one and not being able to invest, you know, having excess money. The blue's nice, and somebody's going to scoop that sucker up. Oh, there's 3 of these. You know what? I'm not going to do this. Because I let 3 shares loose, I'm not going to release these 2. I had some very clever thinking in mind, but I forgot that I released shares. So that very clever thinking was, I didn't want to be the only shares that I bought, although this 550 is a fine amount of money to start the company with. I released 2 more shares because I forgot that this was here, and I wanted to grab most of the money that people had so they didn't feel compelled to buy another company. But with 3 tastier shares out there, I'm not going to waste my extra release that way. So I'm going to keep more tokens in the pool. I'm allowed to release 10 more merchants shares, whatever, over the course of the game without it costing me anything. So that's probably more than I want to release anyway, and my price will be higher. I've got more than enough operating costs with my five merchants that I have right now. And now it's time for people to start scooping up the goodies that fell. A little bit about my prior defective game. If I wanted to tinker with that to try to make that unintentional modification work, one thing I think I'd want to do is change some of the phase changes. Like what I felt there was that the original 1830 phase change model, where phases change at 3, 5, and I don't know, 6. Either 6 or 7, depending, kind of a mixture of some of the different operations that would happen. So in particular, one of the things that I would definitely want to see changed is I'd want to see that exploration value pumped up a little bit more quickly than it is, to allow for a little bit more rapid expansion, because the game felt a little too tightly constrained. So like once the 3s come out, if you have a 2-space growth, that would have worked better. Also, quite possibly, the exchanging ships, because that would make it any kind of there was sort of a delay in how quickly the ships came up. I'm not so sure I want to do that, but yeah, if I was looking at that as a serious variant for this, I would certainly be considering tinkering around a little bit with it and not just using a game that was designed a little bit, with a different exploration model in play. That different exploration model creates some really different behavior than what I saw in my game. And in terms of, you're seeing some good runs being made, and some ability to hit some of the more interesting places in the game. One thing that I kind of don't like, which is totally in 2038 thing that I miss, is say where I'm going to be dropping I don't know where exactly, maybe here. We're going to be dropping a new home very soon. Well, I'd like to run one ship off the new home and one ship off the original home, right? That's not an opportunity here, but it's definitely something to keep in mind, and it changes the strategy you use. So here, I had to place these to make it through that first stage of the game, but very quickly I'm going to just be moving to the new home, and these probably will never get used again, even though I have my Knee. Moves forward and blasts into a 4-point space. The question was whether I go here or I can hit this 6, but probably I won't get it. So there's a lot of rich stuff down here, and that's what I'm looking at making my home base for. Now, right now, remember, I can't split these. It makes no real sense for me to buy another ship, even though I have the cash for that $200 ship, because I'll be accelerating things, and I don't necessarily want to do that, although other people have more ships. So maybe there's some value to trying to push them out a little faster. But, who knows? Oh, shit. Having some clumsiness here. Well, it just isn't staying where it's supposed to. But the other thing is, I kind of have to develop this so that it's making more than this to be worth buying another ship, basically. Well, next turn, it'll be making equal. The turn after, it'll be making more. And we get similar problems, with all of these. And I guess I'll pay out that 6. Thieved from my company because I don't have many shares of this, so if it has to swallow, it's not that big a deal kind of thinking. Here ends up buying another one of those ships. Hey, I've reached where I can actually use it, and it's going to help smooth my way through the next layer. I don't have an automatic drop, so I can swallow when I drop down to a 3 ship or whatever. But even more than that, I mean, it's just I'm already extended, so I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4 already. I can't get here. I guess I could drop a base, but honestly, given that I want to hit this, the base is a hard argument to make. And like I said, I probably want to drop it back here if I can. And we're still moving 1 space per turn. Actually, back there kind of sucks too. I don't know. This one might make sense. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to need a lot of ship to run this. But there may be a mid period of the game where I have that kind of shipping capable. It's a tough call here. I think I'm going to do this. So I'm going to drop this in here. It's a 4-point place. That's pretty good. Well, I have too much ship for what I have, and I feel like black is pretty much designed to just run down here all on their own, get a lot of stuff, have a lot of ships early in the game. Yeah, it's possible green could come in and interfere early, but now green's pretty much cut off, and they're out of the game. Remember green got cut off last time? Yeah, they're cut off again. And they're not a terrible position, but there's not room to come in late in any good place. So anyway, I think that means I have to buy a ship. So I'm not going to run. I'm not going to run my for money. I'm just going to take $100 and then spend 200. Now this is kind of dumb because I bought extra shares of my stuff, but maybe not all that dumb because there were no other merchants available. And this starts though pushing, which the number of ships is beginning to decrease. There's a lot of 3s available. 3 of them gone. That means three are available, and now we move to, I guess, purple. Looks like the Thessalonica got a bell ringer, as it were. 27 a share paying. Now I didn't have the cash to activate this. I could have brought it up to 32 a share if I had another $20 in the company treasury, but that didn't make a lot of sense at this point. Black also has 3 boats. They're not going to be able to get that kind of money, though. They're not hitting a 10 space, although I'm not sure. let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. They might be able to, they're able to hit 7 spaces if they either take this and pay there or pay for this. So, you know, I mean, if it's the prestige of having the highest run. And I have a fair amount of shares here. Took out a loan, or took out a swallow last time, so maybe it's worth pulling some extra cash in. I could hit this, that's only $1 less. But poor purple here. All right. They were under the impression they'd be able to sail up here and do something, and they will eventually once the fours come out. But as of right now, there's a couple of boats in the way. They're going to have to move here and get nothing. And honestly, they're going to be running pretty crappy because Sparta doesn't generate anything until the fours come out and this opens up. And by then, it's kind of, they've sent the ship off this way. They would have been better off starting with Sparta, probably. I don't know. This 4-pointer's, it's not worth anything, you know. So I don't know. But we'll run that and get our big $4. Actually, we got a 3, so we can go 1, 2, 3 and get $5. Would it make sense to go here anyway? We'd be able to aim for this. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. The decision to take a swallow here in order to buy themselves another 3 boat. Unlike some of the XX games, I don't think having 2 3s is that terrible a thing, except for the money that it drains from you. Basically, the danger with 2 3s in the XX game, in a lot of the XX games, is the 5 train drops the train limit to 2, and the 3s don't go away until the 6s come out, and so you're stuck with 2 trains and unable to move anything. Well, there's nothing like that here. You're always at 3 boats, so we're trying to branch into there. See, no new home yet. I think. See, we got to be careful because we win this race into one of these 2, in Byzantium for that matter, if we want it. And as we do that, this comes down. Before that, you can't cross the road with a wall here. Well, orange comes after blue. After we win the race to one of these 2, blue gets the next race for whatever that's worth. Now, they're already shut out of here and have to, if they're using this, they're going to have to go 2 spaces out of their way, and that's kind of ugly. And this is, other than this space and this one, it's not going to expand. But, well, in the long run, it's only 1 space out of the way, this island here. And I may just look at running whatever this route is as my eventual route there. Orange with the win is also going to be probably in the same place. Neither one's going to get their home base down there. The home base would give some advantages, especially to orange, because they could swing down and across. But given that these are both 1-space cities, I want to get one of them, and I want to get the better one. And then, so we're kind of seeing a slide down this way. Now, it's possible I could throw my base down somewhere else if value comes of that. But I've got a lot of tokens on the board. Same with blue, same with black. I've probably developed the route that I want already. So stock round, new company gets started at 100. Well, kingdom. There was an extra one in here. He scooped that up. Didn't have enough for the red that was dropped. This guy over here, he's holding a bunch of reds. You can't move them. Right? He's got to have somebody who has 3 of them to be able to get rid of, well, actually, somebody has to take it over for him to get rid of it. In a sense, owning a kingdom is almost a negative in this game. I've got another $250 here. I could get like 460 if I wanted to raise capital and get another company, but honestly, it looks like red's going to start cranking, actually. I'm just going to spend 200 and grab that last red. Now, the only reason I was thinking about I don't want to do that is that there are, if I sell reds, I hurt my stock value, right? But I think it's going to be doing okay. The other reason is this guy looks like he has enough money to start another company or kingdom or whatever you want to call it. But again, I mean, he's definitely going to. His problem is he's holding a couple of these blacks. He sells those, and he's hurting his stock value. But I think he has to do it because nobody else is going to start one, and he's sitting on a lot of excess cash. He's also started with a lot of money, $130 in there, and I bought 4 of the 5 shares that have been released. Now, what I'm beginning to see, and this is different from the first 2 times I played, really, is an unwillingness to release a lot of merchants. The valuation of a company that has a lot of merchants on the board, I've kind of learned a lesson in terms of that. And the capacity when trains come around to be able to release a lot. Now, granted, if this guy had $5 more, he could have bought all 5 shares at 110 and would have been very happy with that. There was like a turn where he didn't take his $5, right? If he had done that, he would have been able to. You don't know what's going to happen, altogether. So having a little extra cash would have made it feel a little better to throw that money in and maybe get this purchase. But overall, I feel like I did an okay thing by moving, by grabbing this at the price I grabbed it. And it does mean that the 4 shares I'm going to release, when the 4s come out, are going to be released at probably an even higher value. And the 6 shares, if I want to release 6 shares, will be at a very high value. So you're seeing things floating at a higher value than you'd expect in an XX game, to tell you the truth. I don't think many people are sitting on money anymore. We got like $60 over here, and that's really it. And I don't think anybody's going to exchange. This is the one exception. He's got a gray and enough money to exchange that for a black. The black's going to make money. The gray, yeah, it has a pile of cash on it, but in the 2 operating rounds, one of the 2, it's not going to make cash. But the black's going to swallow at some point. So, I don't know. I think it's safer to go with the company that's got the established roots. We don't know that the trains are going to all fall, but it's pretty likely they will. But that doesn't necessarily mean a swallow either. They could just release 4 shares for 440, and maybe that's enough to keep going for a while. Pretty good time to send things up. I know I'm 15 minutes short of the hour or whatever, but I think the rest of the game is going to probably take me less than an hour to play out. So rather than trying to squeak in an extra operating round, screw it. Let's do an operating round. It doesn't really matter, where we break on things. So first we pull money, and we're still in that phase 1 here. Got a bit of a problem. They ran for 12. Now connecting up down here, and here comes the problem. I really kind of want this 3. It's the last 3. I buy this and I open up 4s for the people who, yellow and gray that just started. A 4 would be better than a 3, there's no question, but I think I really need this, otherwise I lose a run. So we'll just buy that. And he doesn't have room to buy one. We're not in phase 2, so no trains are going to be juggled. We'll see what happens. We made a big 27 run through here, and if I had more cash, that could have gone up even more. Now we're on yellow, and yellow has an interesting situation. First, I thought they were the Mike Knee token, but that's only over here, and he's got real problems. Will he even be able to use it? I don't know. It depends on, the green company can't really get around there too easily and too pleasantly, and red, while it's close to it, is kind of set up with something different. We'll see what kind of shippage we get. But yellow over here for $300 can buy itself a 4. The only reason it might not want to is, oh look, I've got everything blocked off here. It's not. I could buy something off of them, but the other reason is to hold off on crashing the 2s. But you know what? I've divested of some of my shares there, So we're going to make the phase change happen. And now things get kind of exciting. So the game kind of pauses right here. Put this here to remind me. And every company in share value, essentially, prestige value. Well, first of all the twos disappear, and we're in a new phase, and this, that, and the other. There's a lot of differences for the new phase, right? For example, you're able to double up on these. So places with 2 or 3 circles, you can put an extra one. The discovery ship gets to move 2 spaces each turn. Oh, you're not allowed to put new... Oh, no. You're allowed to sell, and it's 4 new merchants at this phase. So that's something that's done in that order, in the prestige order. And then the fleets, if you take a swallow, you get $200 instead of 100. And also, these things have changed. They've gone up in value, and they'll go up in value once more, and then they all drop down to 0, which is kind of neat. But because they're kind of like the red locations. I mean, these actually are, except you can't access them. That exist in a lot of XX games. So everybody's got to decide how much cash do they need. So, for example, red could probably use quite a bit of cash. But I also probably don't need to use more than $700. At 170 each, it's 340, 680. That's the maximum of what I've got, but I've got an extra 100 here. So what if I got only 3 of these? That'd be 170 times 3. That's 510, 610. I'm going to sell all 4. So I'm going to get that 680. And these just get released into here, and they're now available for purchase. I think it's kind of easy for some of the companies. So for example, red, I dumped, what, 3 in, 4 in? I don't know. But enough to get me any permanent ship other than the big one, which I figure I'm not going to need. But things might fall fast. Other people had more difficult choices, like black here. They could only raise, they played the maximum they could. They could only raise $400. Well, 440, but it means that, you know, I'm probably going to need a swallow to get my permanent vehicle, which is okay. But I had the Poseidon, so I can do a jump and make a run for a lot of money, even though I just went down. Now, I couldn't choose to do that this round, so this might be my swallow round. That's one of the problems. If you're going late in the round, Poseidon doesn't help you much, because the hit comes before you get your doubled run or whatever, and that's kind of weird. This guy actually triggered off more money right away because he wants to be in a position where he can get at least a 4 and a permanent to follow it up. Over here, cash for the permanent. Over there, definitely cash for the permanent in play. You know, just trying to prepare for that next phase of the game, whenever that happens. And that's the end of yellow's turn, so now we're over at purple. Who luckily can actually operate somewhere. The question is which direction, you know? Do I start heading back? I mean, I can get this dot, right? Timing helped orange tremendously. I could do what I was considering, which is boink, boink, and grab both those spaces, turn one of them into my new capital. Is it necessary? I mean, this is where all the wealth is for me. The question is there a reason for me to go back this far? I don't think so. So I think this is actually a really appealing choice, where I go 1, 2, I drop this here, I destroy this. Yes, I'm giving up a run with Byzantium, but now I've got a 6 that comes out of here if I want it. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, alternatively, it's this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know which is worth more, but I'm guessing coming out of here is worth more. And I've really kind of screwed blue heavily there. Side, even though this is like a 27 run, which is pretty damn good. Well, like I said, I'm not getting the best run that I could have. I'm going to swallow here. Why? Well, because I have 2 3 trains. I don't have a permanent train, and I only have like 300, 400 bucks. 400 bucks isn't enough to get me that. I was kind of counting on this when I did my sale of only three merchants in here, was that I couldn't do it with 4 anyway, so if I have to do a swallow, and I kind of want these extra ones. It looks like I'm going to end up with a fair amount of shipping capacity. There are good places that maybe I can hit down here. We'll see. There's certainly these, which are better than nothing. This maybe, but that's kind of going out of my way. So yeah, I have to sail up here into here, and then I can't come out. So this is the more likely path that I'll be taking with whatever ship I take, unless I end up with an E, in which case, I sail everywhere I can possibly get money from, which isn't many places. It's going to be what I have dotted, which probably won't include one of those. So anyway, that's a swallow there, and we finalize with gray.